are you concerned at all about the seeming insubordination and the dispute between the generals and the president, or do you buy that there even really is a legitimate dispute going on between them?
I think there is, and I think it's healthy. I like that they're doing that. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But obviously, there is a disagreement in some of these and these military people who are arguing this from a strictly military point of view, that they may be absolutely right. They might be correct in saying, if you could leave in 15 months, there's going to be a mess here, a mess there. But, the way I figure, yes, there could be, but it's not my fault. The mess is because we went in there in the first place. Yes, it's tough getting out of there, and there may be some repercussions. But I still think long term it would be better that the local people there solve these problems. To say that if we walked out of there tomorrow and everybody would be hugging and kissing each other, I don't think I'd argue that. But it might be a lot better than we anticipate. I mean, right now we walked out of Vietnam and it's unified. There's more you can say for Korea. Vietnam is unified, and they're not exactly hostile toward us. We have American investors over there, and we have much better rapport with Vietnam now so that we're not fighting with them. So it could be better if we just walked away than some people realize. But I wouldn't laugh at what the military people say and say, it could be rough and tumble. But that's the fault of the people who voted and put our troops over there and stirred up all the fuss.
Well, and it seems like General Petraeus wants to have it both ways, where he's created peace and prosperity for Iraqis, and his strategy is so much better than General Pace and Sanchez and his other predecessors in, the surge and buying off the Sunnis rather than fighting them and all that. But at the same time, he's saying that he's basically admitting that he hasn't really solved anything at all, because if the U.S. military isn't there to stand between the groups, that he says they'll all start fighting again.
Right. Of course, my conclusion would be they haven't solved anything, and we've spent too much. So admit the truth and get out. So it's just I guess boils down to what they think our role should be in the world. And I don't think we should be the policeman of the world. We shouldn't be a nation builder. We should be minding our own business and providing for the defense of this country, which we can do very adequately. Nobody's going to invade this country or bomb us or attack us. And we're more likely to be hit by a few nuts, with homemade bombs or razor blades by us being over there. So I see all that we do over there as a great danger to us rather than helping us in any way whatsoever.
All right, now I'd like to ask you about probably the most controversial topic of the show today, war crimes prosecutions or potential criminal investigations into the principals, they call them, the leadership of the last administration and perhaps their lawyers who helped them construct the legal arguments for them to torture people and violate the FISA felony statute, which forbids them to tap our phones without a judicial check. Are you in favor of criminal investigations or any of these truth commissions or things that people are talking about?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it, but I don't expect anything to happen because, the policymakers who stand behind either a McCain or an Obama are exactly the same. And, of course, Obama's already backed off that. You got to protect the state's secrets, You can't interfere with the importance of the state. The state has an interest in this, so they're not going to pursue it, but they should. People commit crimes. They should be investigated. I mean, the whole process, the whole idea of how many lies were told to us and how much were deliberate. I think there should be an investigation, but I'm very pessimistic. I don't think it will happen.
I once had a friend who joked that the whole Monica Lewinsky investigation was simply a conspiracy to get rid of the independent counsel statute.
I guess that's possible. And,
it seems like they sure are better off without it up there in D.C.
Remember during that time, it was also used as an excuse to, let's drop a couple bombs on a few people to distract us from Monica Lewinsky.
Right. Operation Desert Fox. Got to get those weapons.
Oh, boy. Now, that to me is, even though Clinton dropped a lot less bombs than Bush did, it was pretty abhorrent to think that bombs could be dropped on people and innocent people killed, with the flimsy excuse that we had there. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it seems kind of strange to name it Desert Fox, but maybe that's just me. Wasn't he a Nazi? Anyway, so one last issue here before I let you go, Dr. Paul, if it's okay. I'd like to ask you about the regime change and back again in Somalia that's taken place over the last 2 years. If you can just tell us what you think about that.
Well, I try to keep up on that, and I have a real good staffer that's good on these issues. I keep telling them, I said, this is something we need to watch because there's not much attention given to it, and I consider it very, very important, because of the geographic location as well as other oil reserves in that region. And, of course, Bush was a lot smarter than Clinton was in his early years by us sending troops over there and getting trapped. But then we went and used a proxy army, used the Ethiopians to go in, but now they've had to be pushed off. So, no, I think it's chaotic there. I don't know the minutia about that, but I don't expect anything good to come from it. But I don't expect us to walk away from that either. I think that we're either going to use proxy armies or we ourselves will be involved once again in that area.
Yeah, it seems like the news reports are saying that basically the very same people who were overthrown 2 years ago with the American-backed Ethiopian invasion are the same people who've taken back over now. Yeah,
so right now it's a failed policy, but I'm not sure they won't have enough determination to come back with a plan B. And if I'm correct that policies don't change, Obama will be very much involved there as well.
Well, I'm interested in the aspect of it, one of the aspects of it that you mentioned there, that it goes with such little coverage, America's intervention in Somalia. Do you think the average member of Congress even knows that America had a proxy war in Somalia?
I wouldn't think 10%. But, the other place that they don't watch, and it stays quiet, and that's in Colombia. I mean, we're spending a lot of money down there. And earlier on, I think you implied maybe our military serves the interests of our companies. Well, that's why we're down there in Colombia. We're protecting oil interests as well. And there's a lot of money involved down there. But just because, and I think some Americans have been killed and some held hostage, but that's kept very, very quiet. You hear very little about that.
And now, but that's all in the name of protecting us from the cocaine supply.
That's right. I mean, we got to teach the kids on what to do and how to run their lives. So, and it's the fault of the growers. It's never the fault of the people here or the fault of the stupid drug laws. They're not about to think about that.
Well, and I guess you're arguing that that's basically an excuse, that's just cover for, again, protecting oil interests.
Sure, and that's why when we had the early votes, when we did have a little bit of debate early on, it was construed as if you voted against this, you were voting for drugs. It was indicating you were weak on drugs, and no politician, they claim, can exist if you appear to be weak on drugs. But of course, I've taken this position for a long, long time, and it was used against me a whole lot. And I just think the people are a little more sophisticated than we give them credit for. I take a lot of stands that are controversial, and up until now, I don't know what the future will bring, but up until now, I've been able to, convince my district, and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, even if I do take a position that the drug war is a total failure and we shouldn't be wasting any money. So I'd like to encourage the others to do the same thing.
Well, and that really has proven true in terms of the war, like in Iraq, for example. I mean, they scheduled the vote in the Congress right before the midterm elections of 2002, and so many Democrats were intimidated into voting for a war that they opposed. And you're a Republican from Texas who opposed the president, who nominally is also from Texas, from the same party, opposed his war in your district and walked right back into your House seat because they respect the fact that you don't sell out, that you stand by what you say, and you explain what you mean very well.
Yeah, that is required. I've had people come up to me after I've taken some tough votes. They say, I agree with you, but I can't go home and explain that to my people. Well, they might be just not energetic enough to do it, but that's my job, is to explain exactly what I'm doing if I'm representing them so that they understand understand it. Of course, it's in my interest for them to understand it too, so that they don't just yell and scream at me. And now, though, after a few years, people expect and understand what I'm doing, and they're not surprised at all when I have to stand alone.
All right, Dr. Paul, I've already kept you over time.
Okay.
I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Okay, Scott. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, that's Dr. Ron Paul, represents District 14 in South Texas in the U.S. House. The books are A Foreign Policy of Freedom and The Revolution, a manifesto, along with the Minority Report from the Gold Commission and a lot of other great books. You can find his antiwar.com archives at antiwar.com/Paul, and we'll be right back.